Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and today I'm going to show you another example of a project that you can work on for your final project for this term. This is going to be remaking Flappy Bird in Scratch. This is a pretty easy project. It should be just about as easy as the piano tiles project. So, either piano tiles or this project should be pretty easy options. But this one looks kind of nice. I actually like this a lot. So this is essentially what the game looks like. If you've never played Flappy Bird before, you control this Flappy Bird here in the middle, and he has to avoid the pipes. And the pipes come in and I died. If you hit the thing, you die. So I died pretty quickly. But the pipes come in randomly. Now, the bird is a sprite that already exists in Scratch, and so is the background. I always die on that second one. Anyway, so that's the idea there. Like I was saying, the background is a sprite that already exists, or a design that exists, and the bird exists. But the pipes we're going to make ourselves. So, hold on 1 second. Whew, that was a big sneeze. Okay. All those wings flapping made me sneeze. Okay, so we're going to name this I'm going to name mine Flabby Bird because I was accidentally typing Flabby Bird, and I think that's funny. Okay, we're going to get rid of our Scratch the cat because we don't need him. First thing we're going to do is we need to set up a backdrop. And like I said, Scratch already gives us this nice blue sky backdrop. I'm going to grab it. You guys can use whatever you want, but I like this one. And I especially like this one because we can duplicate it, and then we can very quickly create a game over screen with this same backdrop, right? So I'm going to grab some text here, and I'm going to type game over. And let's pick that marker font, which I like. And we'll make it nice and big. And then I'm going to change it to white, because I think white looks pretty good against the light blue. Again, you guys can do whatever you'd like. It's completely up to you. But that looks like a good game over screen to me. Okay. And I don't think there's any code in our backdrop, so we're good there. Now we need our parrot sprite, our bird. So like I said, that is here in Scratch as well. So let's just go find Mr. Parrot. There we go. And he's a bit big, so I'm going to drop him down to, I don't know, let's try 25. That's not terrible. That's a decent size. We might want to make him bigger as we play around with it, but that's fine. Okay. First, I'm hitting my mic here. Let's handle some housekeeping first. We want to set a score variable, right? Because we need to keep track of how long our bird has flapped. So we're going to create a score variable. And we want to, whenever the green flag is clicked, we want to set our score to 0, because that needs to happen. We also need to, let's show our bird. Oh, I don't know why I pulled that off. Let's show the bird, and let's set the backdrop to, is it blue sky or blue sky 2? Hold on a second. Let's see what our costumes are. It's blue sky. Okay. So we want to change it to blue sky. Now we want to do that because if we lose the game, it's going to change it to game over. And so we wanted to flip back to blue sky when we start the game. Okay. Now we want our bird to go to a certain spot. We want to tell it where to start the game. We're going to say y is 0. We can actually make it, I don't know. Let's make it like 25 on the y, just to get it up a little bit. And then we'll say negative 55 on the x. Let's do negative 75 on the x. Let's pull them back just a little bit further. Let's say negative 85. I want them about right here. What is that? Negative 134? Maybe we'll do negative 120. Yeah, let's do that. No. Negative 85 is fine. Okay, yeah, that's fine. That'll be fine. We don't want the game to be too easy, right? So that looks good to me. And then, we want to change our costume. So we're flapping our arms, our wings, right? And we want to do that forever because we want to constantly be flapping. So we'll just say, it's actually pretty easy. Let's go to looks, next costume. And then we want to wait some time. So let's wait, I don't know, 0.25 seconds. Let's see. How does that look? That's pretty good. It's pretty good. You might even want it to be faster. So you can say like 0.15 seconds. That's a little better. I think I like that a little more. Okay. So now we've got the bird is flapping. It's going to its regular place. Our score is set to 0. This looks pretty good. Now we want to, let's start making him drop. So as soon as the game starts, we want it to start dropping pretty much immediately. So again, we need when a green flag is clicked, block here. And let's make this happen forever. And then we want to change our Y, change Y by, let's say, -3. Sounds good. And then if we're touching this brown color here, then we want to stop the game. So there's actually a pretty easy way to do this. So we have this if touching color block. And in here we can click and then grab our eyedropper and then come over here and make sure we have the brown selected, right? So if we touch that brown color, then we want the game to stop. We're going to swap our backdrop to game over, which is blue sky 2, right? And then we're going to stop. So let's stop all. Okay, let's test out that functionality. Our bird should drop, and then it should hit the game over screen once we get there. I probably should hide. Yeah, let's do that too. Let's do this. Let's when the backdrop changes, when it changes to blue sky 2, then we're going to hide ourselves so that you don't see the bird anymore. Yeah, let's do that. All right, let's test it. Okay, he falls, and it goes to game over, right? He falls, and it goes to game over. So we have a lot of functionality already built. Now, the last thing we need to do for our bird is we need to make it so that when we press the space bar, he flaps up just a little bit, right? We don't want to flap him too far, but we want to flap just a little bit up. So we can do when the space bar is pressed. Let's go over here. When the space key is pressed, we want to glide. So there's this thing called glide. It actually, it's a smoother movement than just going to a certain position. Now we want to glide, let's say 0.3 seconds so that it's a quick motion. It's not very slow. The X is going to stay the same because we don't want him to move any on the X at all. He's going to stay in the same spot on the X. But the Y, we want it to go basically from where he is, but up. So we want it to be relative from the Y position. So there's an easy way to do that. If we come to our operators, we can just add. We can grab this plus operator. Now the first number we want to add is the Y position currently. So wherever he is on the Y position now, we're going to add to the Y position, and we'll say, let's add 45. Okay, let's test that. Okay, now this 0.03 seconds seems a little bit slow to me. that seems a little fast. So let's do right in the middle and see if that feels better. Not bad. That actually feels kind of good. Okay. Believe it or not, that's our entire pigeon, or our Flappy bird, or our parrot, whatever it is. That's the entire coding for that. Now all we have to do is get the pipes to come in. So we actually need to create the pipes ourselves because we don't have any, there's no pipe sprites that we can make. So I found a quick way to make a really easy and convincing looking pipe. So if we grab this this square here, by the way, I just went to paint a new sprite. If we grab the square here and we go to the fill, we can actually add a gradient. So I want a gradient, a linear gradient. And I want to increase, let's say, I want to swap those. So I want green on one side. Oh, hello. No, this one's going to be more white. Yeah. Green on this side. Okay, that's a nice looking gradient. I like that a lot. Okay, so now I'm going to grab this guy here, and I'm just going to create like a little pipe. And then I'm going to control copy and paste and put another one down here. And we can actually just make it a little bit bigger so that the gap is a little tighter, so it's harder to play. And then to do the little caps on the pipes, we can just do something like that, just to create a nice cap on the pipe. There we go. And that's pretty much it. Now, the only thing that I'm noticing here that's going to make it a little bit off is it'd be nice if we had a black outline. So let's actually add an outline here. And we'll make it like a 4 pixel outline. That's better. That's way better. Yeah, that looks nicer. It stands out a whole lot better now. Okay. Perfect. So now we have some pipes that we need to fly through. Let's go ahead and set up the coding for that. Let's talk about how this is going to work. Basically, we want the pipe to start at the very extreme edge of the screen, but we want to hide it at first because we don't want to see it yet. We want to give the player some time before pipes start coming at them, right? So let's say when the green flag is clicked, we want to hide first, and then we're going to set our X to, let's see, 250, the extreme right edge of the screen. And then we'll wait. Let's wait about a second before we start throwing pipes at the player. So we'll say, wait a second, and we'll say show. Okay. All right. So then it's going to show. Now we need to get it to start moving toward the player, moving from the right side of the screen to the left side of the screen. So we're going to do this inside of a forever block because we want it to constantly happen. And we just want to change our X by, let's say, -2. That seems like a good, that's a decent speed. That's not a bad speed. Okay. So the problem is when it gets all the way to this edge, it just stops, right? We actually want to move it all the way back to the beginning if it reaches that edge. So in order to do that, we need an if statement so we can check to see if we've hit the edge. So let's say if, and we'll drop it right in there underneath the change by X by 2, but inside the forever block because we want this to constantly happen. And we'll say if the X position is what? Greater? Less than. If the X position is less than -220. Yeah, so if the X position is less than -220, means it gets over here past 220. Then we want to basically duplicate this block here, not the whole thing. We want to set it back to 250. Like that. But we don't want it to come at exactly the same speed, or we don't want it to come immediately once it gets to the end. Oh no, yeah, we'll do that. But we want to move it up and down a little bit, right? We don't want it to be like, because it's if it's just the same, you know what I mean? So let's move it up and down on the Y by a random value. So let's set Y to, we'll say pick a random between, let's say -75 and +75. See what that looks like. Okay, so it's going to move all the way across the screen. And then it's going to come in shorter that time. Now notice that my sprites are a little bit, I might need to extend my sprite so that it's not so. Let's go ahead and do that while I'm paying attention. Make the sprite bigger so that there's no way you can see the top of the pipe. That's better. Okay, so our pipe is working pretty well. Now the only thing we need to do is set it up so that if the parrot touches the pipe, then we actually end the game. So we can actually do that inside the same forever block. Let's do an if, just right underneath of our other if. And we'll say if we're touching, and if we're touching the parrot, then we're going to switch our backdrop to blue sky 2, and we're going to stop all. Oh, where'd it go? Stop all. There we go. Okay, perfect. And then we also want to get rid of, so when it switches to blue sky 2, we want to hide ourselves too. We want to hide the pipe. Okay, perfect. Now, this game is working perfectly. We have pipes to fly through. We have a bird that's flapping. That pipe is really easy to get through, by the way. And it's going kind of slow. So here's what we're going to do. Let's duplicate this. Duplicate. And the first thing I want to do is I want to go into the costume, and I'm going to move this just a little bit closer together. So there's a hard gap to get through and an easy gap to get through. And they're going to come one after another. Okay, so that's going to be more difficult. And in the coding, instead of waiting a second, I want this to wait 5 seconds. Yeah, let's have that wait 5 seconds. So we get a tough pipe every 5 seconds, and we get an easy pipe every... There we go. So then the tough pipe is there. Oh, see? It's that second pipe. This is looking pretty good, and it's working. This is actually a finished game, except we need to set it up so that our score changes whenever we pass through the pipe. So what we can do is we can actually just have it whenever we get to the end here, after we set our Y, let's just change our score by 1, and let's do that on the other pipe as well. And maybe because this pipe is tougher, we'll change this score by 2. Okay, so now let's test that out. All right, let's see. Easy pipe, no problem. Got it all day long. All day long. Man, that pipe is a bit tough. Maybe I'll not make it so difficult. You know, if you can't even beat your own game, then how can you expect other people to, right? Okay. So that one's coming in low. That's cool. I'm okay with that. All right, let's get through that one. Oh, finesse. Look at that. Perfect. So now my score went up by 2 when the tough pipe came through. Okay, so that's a functional game. That game works. That is one example of one of the projects that you can do for your term project. All right, let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you next term.